When the only agent in your life that can transform how you feel about yourself, no matter what they do for you, the only person who can make a change in you is you. And how do you do that when we're talking about kindness? Is you extend kindness to people, compassion maybe with understanding about where they are, but then you extend kindness and you don't rain only on the good, but on the evil or the people who anger you or the negative people. You don't reserve your kindness just for some people, you do it for all. And one of the reciprocal things that happens in your own psyche when you do that is that you have made no distinctions about them, and so gradually you begin to make no distinctions about yourself. You can be kind and accepting of yourself no matter what you're doing or did. Here's what Buddha said about Tim and Jay. Give the people confidence. Give the people delight. Give the people hope. Give the people the best. So today we're talking about kindness, and I know sometimes in a world that seems to be at conflict the world over, could be on fire right about now, sometimes there's a thought we're too small to do anything about it. We're just one person, even less, maybe not even a whole person. And I want to tell you what the Dalai Lama says about that. If you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Don't you love this topic, kindness? That we start off we don't start, but we're continuing this exploration of what it is to be in Christ consciousness, or what it is to prepare our minds for an awakening. And one of the steps in that is kindness. I mean, I used to think, okay, well, awakening, I'm probably going to have to fast, meditate, do something terribly uncomfortable like sitting cross-legged on the floor for hours a day. And one of the foundational practices is really kindness. And it's something you can do every day. You can even do it in your own room with the door closed. You can be kind to yourself. You can say nice things to yourself. You can pray for others. You can extend your energy out into the world simply with the intent that it goes out and blesses others. This act of kindness is said to be able to cleanse or purify your ego. But I don't really think you even have to worry about your ego when you're in kindness, because you've done something that has taken you out of it. When you put somebody else's happiness high enough that you do something for them, and you just do it out of kindness, not with an idea, oh, I'm going to get something back. If I'm good to her, she will probably take care of me. Right? I'll read you a joke about that. This is Amy Wong. Do you know who Amy Wong is? Maybe you don't. She's an interesting new comedian. She's talking about her husband. We've been together now for 5 years, and for 5 years I've packed my husband's lunch every single day. I did that so he'd become dependent on me, because he graduated from Harvard Business School, and I don't want to work no more. I don't feed him out of goodness of my heart. I do it as an investment in my financial future. So one of the things, we're doing when we act in kindness, and we do it from a pure place, a place like this, where a man worked with some people, and they weren't, or he knew them somehow. He knew they didn't have much money and that their child wanted a bicycle. And so he went to a store and he bought the bicycle. And then he told his friend to go look at this store. There was a bike on sale there. And he had the merchant change the receipt, the cost of the bike. And they bought the bike for a modest amount. And he had actually paid for most of it. And in this way, they got the pleasure of being agents in their life, and they never knew who did it. And so with that kind of attitude, that kind of approach to life, I think what we do is we expand the goodness that's in this world. At this moment in time, when the world, it does seem to be troubled, and we in America have not escaped that, something needs to change. We could continue this for a while, or we could learn to be happy and learn to be gracious. I was at a dinner party recently, and a woman was telling me that she was in similar situations in two different places. She was on a train in Puerto Rico. This was the only train in Puerto Rico that was a passenger train, and it happened to be going along just fine, and then it stopped. And the people in Puerto Rico many of them had not been on a train before. This was like the inaugural day. And they went, I wonder what that is. Well, they started singing. They didn't know what to do, so they just started singing and clapping and having fun and laughing. The same woman was in New York State. The train stopped. Within seconds, there was yelling and screaming and cursing. Which place sounds more pleasant? And we cultivate our culture. And even though we're a mosquito in the culture, we cultivate our culture by the kindness we put out there, or we don't. There's a really wise phrase I've heard, which is to lead with compassion and follow with kindness. Say you were at the grocery store, and someone is stumbling to get their coins out or whatever. I've done this. I've been at Walmart and been going, I just want to get in and get out. And it's taking quite some time for someone to get the money out. 2 or 3 cards later, maybe cash, maybe putting some things back. And there's a tendency that maybe you would recognize that I had, which was just go, good golly, I just want to get out of here, right? Why can't they da-da-da-da-da-da? Not exactly leading with compassion, but if you led with compassion, then you might actually be someone who would be ready to help. Here's $5, get you over the hump, or here's 20, or whatever it is. Those acts of compassion would last deeply, I think, in their psyche. Their psyche would be changed for that day, and more directly, yours would be changed too. That you led with compassion instead of with judgment, and you gave rather than withholding. Now, most of us have the capacity to give kindness to somebody by money, but we all have the capacity to give kindness by a smile, by a comment, by a statement. When we think of another person or the population in general, do we think, I wonder what I can do for them, or do we wonder, what can they do for me? Do we look out on the world and think, oh, what a complex and dynamic life each and every person has, and maybe at this moment they're not doing so well, or maybe they are doing so well. I wonder how I can make a contribution to them. Or are we going, I wonder when I'm going to get what I want, right? And at Christmas time, I believe one of the things that happens is that we grew up in a culture here in America where Christmas is the time in which children expect a lot to be given to them. Santa Claus, write a letter, ask for anything. I want a pony. You live in an apartment. I want a pony. It doesn't matter. We just get this idea that at Christmas, maybe our hopes and dreams will be fulfilled. And with that practice as a child, so many of us encounter Christmas and our hopes and dreams have changed. They're really mostly relational by the time we're mature. They're mostly satisfaction in work, or they're mostly things that are deeper, that cannot be answered by a simple gift. And yet we're still in that hope and dream that someone will give it to us, that someone will do for us what we are not doing for ourselves, that somebody will fix it for us, that maybe Santa will really show up one day. And Mariah Carey's not helping with that, I'll say. And that sets us up in a way that historically has proven to make us unhappy. That when we ask others to do what for us, when we need them to do other things for us, we forget that we are the agents of our life. That the world is not happening to us, but it's happening through us. The outcomes of our life are happening through us, not to us. Very fundamental thing to get. Part of the profound teachings of unity that are repeated over and over, it happens through us, how you think, feel, and act. That's what predicts how your life will be. And one of the ways you can make that prediction come true in a way that does satisfy your wants and desires, and that is to be the solution you want in your own life. So what do you want? You want someone to love you. You want kindness. You want to feel successful. You want to be appreciated just like you are, not after they change, not after you change. You know, I keep a list of people that I would like to change, even though I haven't figured out how to make a single person change, but I've got the list. You want that to happen. You want that to happen, and you want someone else to do it. When the only agent in your life that can transform how you feel about yourself, no matter what they do for you, the only person who can make a change in you is you. And how do you do that when we're talking about kindness? Is you extend kindness to people, compassion, maybe with understanding about where they are, but then you extend kindness and you don't rain only on the good, but on the evil, or the people who anger you, or the negative people. You don't reserve your kindness just for some people, you do it for all. And one of the reciprocal things that happens in your own psyche when you do that is that you have made no distinctions about them, and so gradually you begin to make no distinctions about yourself. You can be kind and accepting of yourself no matter what you're doing or did. You shift your critique from being one that chooses who deserves goodness and kindness to one who's quiet enough that you can be kind to everyone, and this one included. And so this practice of kindness, it seems like a simple kindergarten-like statement, but it's profound in its outcome when you actually practice it. Now, one of the things I would like to say, last night was a profound experience, I think, for most of us who were there. In everybody in this church had contributed to this event. Well, not every single person, but it was a church-wide event. A church-wide event. People who made food, people who took tickets, people who cleaned up after the food, the people who sang, the people who did marketing for it, the people who did, you name it. It took all of us to get a full house and have a killer program. I'll let you in on this. I was going to say it last night, but I realized I didn't know the audience. I was talking to the choir prior to, like 15 minutes before they went on stage, and I said, this is your night. You have been practicing, you have been preparing for a long time. And there will be people here who really want to hear what you have to sing and say. And so let's go out there and kick some. And they did. And so I want y'all to realize that the community that we're building here is a place where people bring their best and where kindness is a big currency here. I think one of the kindest things you can do to your neighbors, to your friends, acquaintances, is to invite them to come here. At least watch online until they feel comfortable enough to do that. Because I don't know if you've recognized this, but the sense of community is health giving. You people live longer, an average of 6 years longer if they're in a church like this. 6 years. Now at this age, that could mean a lot to me. So, right? So you live longer, you're happier, and in the end, you may have more resources just to do what, where is she going to get the recipe for some of the dishes out there, right? Just think what the difference it would make to someone if they had no spiritual, just the community. And add upon that the teachings and the practices we do here. Now, one of the things about this is a place where we practice acceptance of all people. We're not perfect, of course, but we practice acceptance of all people. We think everybody has a place in this world. And that everybody is actually not just a person, certainly not their circumstances nor their history. They're actually God made manifest. And you don't get any more elevated opinion of people that you don't know than that, right? So I invite you to do something for your neighbors, which seems kind, and it's a little risky because you're saying, hey, look, I found something, maybe you would like it. And many of us are shy in that way. But I would like you to go out and kick some around this. Because I definitely think what will happen is that if you bring your friends and family here, you will be happier too. But that's not the reason. The reason is to give them something they may not have right now. I want to talk about what I see coming for this church. And in the last few months, we have done a really good job of attracting staff that are basically underpaid and overqualified. Now, Mimi and Mary have been here forever. We've talked about Tim and Jay. Fantastic. You'll know who they are. Mimi comes up and does the prayer, but she also manages about 60 people who are in the prayer business in this church. She is the director of pastoral care. And if you really feel bad and you need somebody to talk to somebody who can do something about it rather than me, who will just historically been proven to be ineffective. So we have Mimi, and we have Mary, who is running the show behind the scenes. Behind what you see, there is somebody who is moving everything into place and keeping track of where they should be. Even at this moment, she's doing something, so she's not here to hear this, unfortunately. I can tell you, both of them are underpaid. But we're getting down to people who are hardly paid at all. I want to tell you about Tia. You know Tia, who was stood here just a few minutes ago? Tia is in her early 20s. But she grew up in Unity, which has made a radical difference in her life, which is why she wants to lead the youth ed program. And she can do that because she comes out of her bones. She knows how to do it. She's not only that, she's life and happiness itself. If you've noticed, when y'all can do anything, she can be up here for 2 seconds and get you to stand up and act stupid. Now, I think she's the secret weapon here. And I'm so happy to have her. And what I see when I think about Tia is that our youth are going to have the best opportunity to grow up with the unity ideas in their bones too. That they're going to be awakened to their potential and be able to stand on stage and make other people do stupid things without any effort. Because life is being trained They're being trained in life at a young age. And I just love what she can do. But she's not all. But wait, there's more. Because Michael Gadway, who comes to us out of the yogic tradition, Yogananda specifically, Roy Eugene Davis, directly. For those of you who've taken a class with him, you know the depth that you get when you go to a class that Michael has. And not many churches have somebody like Michael who have a broad knowledge of things other than what they were told, and he doesn't repeat it by rote, but by experience. Now, if you want to deepen in your spiritual practice, you actually need to know what the practice is. And you need someone who's been there and can help point in the right direction. And for that, we have Michael. So in a church like this, there are two components for everything. I think the church has two main responsibilities. One is spiritual education. The other one is bringing people together. And they're mutually complementary, actually. Not one is better than the other, and neither one will survive as a church without the other. Tammy Johns came to us. Went through the One Spirit seminary and was ordained this year. Was it this year? Seems like it's been longer than that. But she's joined us, and her main responsibilities are to bring us together as a community. Small groups, events, etc. She's the one who can, if you come to her, you can say, what should I do to feel at home here? We have somebody who knows. We have somebody who's dedicated a spiritual practice to making you feel wanted and needed, and finding you a place where you'll feel comfortable. Now, if you were thinking, how do we afford this? I'm going to tell you. Because I know we have all the money we need. There's every penny we need. Unfortunately, it's still in your pockets. Right now we're doing a campaign. I think most of you have received a letter or an email or something to the effect saying that we're trying to replenish our coffers because over the last few years they have gone down. Our reserves are down to about a third what they were 3 years ago. And so it's really important we fill that back up because, well, we never know when an air conditioner will go out or something, but it also just makes the tension diminish because those who are responsible for the financial welfare of this church want to know that there's enough, should anything happen, that we'll weather it quite easily. And so we're really hoping that each one of you will contribute more in this month. That's December, it's the 15th. More in this month so that they go back up. Traditionally, we would run a deficit all year long, quite a severe deficit all year long. And in December, it would jack up right up to above the line or at least break even. And they changed the tax code, and many of you think, well, I won't get any tax benefits for it. I don't know what's going on, but it's flattened out. And I really hope that you will take this as an invitation that I'm giving you today to actually bump it up this month. And next year we'll do a pledge campaign where we can predict how much money we will have come in. It will be a new thing for us. But I just want to say, this is how this community grows. And the reason this is important is, one, for your life, but two, for the world around you. The world around you is made by little mosquitoes like us pulling together to make a beautiful place. Now, if every person in, let's say, North Carolina had been at the concert last night, don't you think they would be happier today than they would have been otherwise? And so whatever we do to increase our reach, to expand our reach, will be incredibly beneficial to the people around us, because we have been called too many times the best kept secret in Raleigh. And don't you think it's time for that to be over? So if we do raise the funds that we're talking about, and we haven't been completely slack on this, it's just that we've had limited resources to apply toward marketing. But if we do well enough with raising money, especially in the next 45 days, we intend to hire somebody whose primary job will be to get the word out. And if you know anybody who's good at that, you know that they typically aren't free. We've gotten a lot of effort from people here for free, but I just think we might have to pay for this one. And so I'm triply asking you to consider the possibility that one of the kindest things you can do is help us get the word out that this church and who you are and who we are collectively, that you would help us get it out so we can stop saying we're the best kept secret in Raleigh. Wouldn't it be we're just the best thing in Raleigh? Forget the secret part. So anyway, it's a pitch. I know, I gave you a pitch out of the kindness of my heart. I want you to consider what you can do. Not everybody can do something, but those of us who can, let's do. Let's chip in. Let's become the place that we know we have had a destiny to become, because I believe personally that one of the things that will happen in this year is, because of our intense need, we will focus more thoroughly and powerfully on spiritual awakening than we have in other years, because now we need it more. Because I believe there could be a bifurcation of happiness. It could go one way or the other. You could be dragged down by circumstances beyond your control, or you could use those circumstances to invite you to awaken to your highest nature. And that is what I propose that we put forth in all our efforts here, that we awaken to our divine nature through love, service, and personal transformation. Let us pray. Perhaps the first question would be, what is it I want? Before we begin anything, what is our intention? Where do we want to go? And if it is to rise above our past, our limitations, our isolation, our despondence, if that is the case, shall we not join together with others on the same path to make this world a better place? We may only be mosquitoes, but that may be enough. Let us commit ourselves to hope and to faith and to trust and to action. And remember, we can go forth with confidence because we know one thing. There is only one presence and one power in our lives and in the universe. So all is well. And so it is. I do want to give you one practice, which is to do a random act of kindness every day for the next week. We as a community can do it all together and therefore strengthen our resolve to do it. Merry Christmas.
I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.